Welcome back. This is Category 5 Technology TV, and tonight we're looking at a program called Auphonic. Check them out.
Auphonic?
Yeah, Auphonic, like audio phonics.
Oh, AUPHONIC?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well
right.
done. Well done. .com. And okay, so here's the thing. If you have ever thought about podcasting, if you're podcasting already, and if you're maybe you're thinking, what's podcasting? So maybe we should just back it up a little bit. Okay, so podcasting is like the new radio, if you will. I mean, that's where
it's been around for a while, though.
I say new. It's like as YouTube is to video and Netflix is to TV, podcasting is to the old school radio shows of storytelling and even news and everything else. But it's online. You can aggregate it, which means to download or listen to new episodes as they come out. Sasha, what podcasts do you frequent? Any podcasts?
No podcasts.
You know what? I'm not a podcast person. I'm an audiobook. I'm an audiobook person.
I'm surrounded by anti-podcasters.
It's not that I'm anti-podcast. It's I
haven't found one yet.
Well, that's part of it, but I want to experience as many books as possible because I can't.
Okay.
Like, I'm always on the road,
right?
So I would love to read. So audiobooks is my thing.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I have a brand new, super amazing computer at home. All I do is play video games.
That's all you do.
What about you?
I would have to say probably Josh and Chuck are my go-to. Whenever there's a new episode every few days. That's Stuff You Should Know, and what that podcast is so I listen to that just on my headphones from my phone, and it's every week just something they want to teach you about. So it could be anything, and so every week you've got 3 new episodes, 2 new episodes and one from long ago, because they've been on the air for like 1,000+ episodes. So
I wonder if they're the one that I listened to about a month ago, where they did an investigation onto whether your Facebook actually listens to you or not. I did listen to one about a month ago on that. It was really good.
I doubt it, because Josh and Chuck usually don't get into technical things.
No, okay.
It's not a tech podcast. It's very
much... The name
much
sounds familiar.
like just like little facts.
Oh, okay.
Like stuff. It's called Stuff You Should... Stuff You Should Know? No. Yeah.
I listen to it every week, but I have no clue what it's called.
You know when you're spelling words like weird and you're typing it into your computer in that moment, and you're like, is the I before E except after C? Or
That's the weirdest. That's not something you should ever know. I feel like that's the I before E except after C is not a real rule.
No, it's not.
The exceptions
Caffeine,
are
weird. I'm just saying, have you ever had those instances? So that's what just happened to me.
Digressed.
That's called
so podcasts are just something you listen to. So if you are a podcaster, let's get into our feature now.
Yes.
So and this can be, if you're publishing videos on YouTube. My son is absolutely in love with editing his own videos. He's got a video camera. He's getting into that. I got him a microphone for Christmas.
Nice.
So, all these kinds of things. But when he records, sometimes the volume's really loud, sometimes the volume's quiet, sometimes he's clipping, sometimes it's too low, and then he adds music and you can't hear the voice over the music. And so it becomes this kind of crazy, really difficult to edit and really hard for him. Now, looking at a more professional standpoint, so looking at, say, Category 5 Technology TV, for example, here we have 3 microphones.
Right.
Sasha's a bit quieter than me. Jeff has a booming, commanding voice. So
I do.
Yeah. So what happens if one of us is really loud, or Sasha's a little quieter, or Sasha laughs hysterically at one of my jokes?
That happens so frequently.
Yeah. So in those instances, you need to use things like compressors. We have hardware compressors. We've got an exciter, which kind of makes the sound a little nicer. But one of the secrets in our tool chest is called Auphonic. And Auphonic now takes the the audio from our video, and it does a lot of magic to it. I'm going to call it magic because it really is as far as what it can do. So it has what's called an intelligent leveler. I'm just going to kind of go through the specifications here. This is like just off of their website, auphonic.com, just so you have an idea what it does. So it magically fixes levels. It magically removes things like motor noise from the background and things like that. So when the ladies do an in-car dash cam episode of New Every Day, for example, running it through Auphonic cleans it up quite nicely. So the intelligence leveler makes sure that the speakers and the music are of a good level, but it also makes sure that it's broadcast quality. So if it's too hot or too loud, it's going to bring it down to a proper level, and it's going to keep it there throughout the entire, now it's audio only. We use it for video because video contains audio. So you don't need to understand how a compressor works. Compressors are notoriously difficult. Remember when we were in radio and we'd always have to call the engineer when the compressor would have trouble?
Yes.
And in radio, you know, that's something that we use to keep the levels. So that the DJs always sound a little bit above the music.
Station lives and dies by the compressor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And a good compressor makes a station sound good, and a bad compressor makes it sound horrible. So with this, you don't need an engineer. You don't need to be an engineer. You don't even need to understand how to do anything other than click your mouse about 3 times. That's it. Loudness normalization is another feature that specifically is what keeps that peak limit at that broadcast level. So we do minus 16 decibels, which is podcast and online audio. So if you watch last week's episode and then this week's episode, you'll notice that our levels, the volume is exactly the same. Have you ever been watching cable TV and the commercials start and it's super loud and you've got to turn down?
That's the worst, actually.
Because the commercials are not going through the broadcast compressor.
Oh, okay.
So it's not the same levels.
Oh, I thought it was just to wake you up off the couch.
It might do that too. So with us, from episode to episode, you're never going to have to worry about adjusting your audio, your volume.
Right.
And that's because of Auphonic. It has audio restoration, which removes the hum, and it does some filtering magic that cleans up low frequencies, gets rid of that kind of low rumble stuff that's really annoying as you're listening on headphones or if you have a subwoofer. There is a multi-track version, indeed, that allows you to take multiple audio sources and mix them together, and it will do magic across all of the multi-track files. So, for example, if we were recording our mics separately, we could actually, in fact, equalize it all in a much more intuitive way. But it does great with just a stereo or mono track as well.
Right.
So that's 2 different versions. There's a multi-track and just a normal, like, pump a wave file into it and it'll do it. It has, they've been introducing on their web version, because you can do this without software, you can do it on the website, speech recognition, which is very, very cool.
So what does that do? Does it just... How does that work?
Recognize the speech. It creates a web VTT file, which is a format that is basically closed captions for web.
Right.
So if you do a podcast and you want closed captions, this is a way to do that. It also makes it so that the text that you speak is able to be searched.
That's cool.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So love that. Now we're using similar kind of technology here to create our closed captions using automatic closed captioning, and we actually have a GitHub repository where folks like yourself can submit edits to our actual captions. So get on over to github.com/cat5tv/ well, you'll find it there. Go in I can't remember. What did I name it? Go to my GitHub page and you'll see, if you do a search in the repositories, just do a search for captions. I think it's called like Cat5 TV-captions or something like that.
All right.
So, then it also does encoding, so it'll save them to FLAC files. It works with multiple different file formats now, MP3, AAC, MP4, whatever. And, so on and so forth. So it cleans this up.
Right.
Here's the thing. It's Windows only.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not Windows only. It's Windows and Mac only.
No Linux.
No Linux. So when I said Windows only, I'm a Windows or Linux user. I don't have a Mac, so I don't think too much on the Mac side of things. But it's Windows or Mac. That's what's available, okay? So Tonight, I'm going to show you the software, but I'm also going to teach you how to install it and make it work in Linux.
Ooh.
Okay, because
double feature.
Yeah. So we're going to learn how Auphonic works, how it does all this magic, what it does, and we're also going to learn how to make it work in Linux. So that said, if you're doing this on Mac or Windows, you don't need to follow all the steps to get it working on Linux because you're not on Linux. But I wanted to show you because a lot of podcasters are using free software like Audacity on Ubuntu, for example. So here's an opportunity for you to clean up your audio. Now, this is a commercial software, but you can buy it outright and then you own it and you get updates for all time, basically.
Yeah.
But also, there is an online version that you can just upload your files to, and you get 2 hours free per month. And it will clean it up. Yeah, it's very cool, especially if you're a smaller, you're doing little files and shorter files. Now, we do probably about 10 hours a week, so so it wouldn't work for us. But and another reason that I don't use the online version personally is because I found, that's how we first started using it, I found that exporting the audio from my video and then uploading the audio to Auphonic, then waiting for it to encode, then downloading it back, and then transmuxing it back into my video was just a pain.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but if you're a podcast and you've got an MP3 file, throw it on there, let it clean it up, download it, and put it on your website.
Yeah, and you're good to go.
Done. Yeah, HD video is a whole other can of worms.
That's true.
So on Ubuntu, let's get right into it. I've got a bare bones install of Ubuntu 17.10. So here we are. It's November of 2017 as we broadcast this. So this is the current version of Ubuntu. I'm going to jump into Terminal. And there's a couple of prerequisites that I'm going to need to do this. And before I do, now I've already downloaded, I'll just let you know just in case we had any internet dropouts or whatever, I already downloaded Auphonic, but I'll show you how you can get it. If you head on over to auphonic.com, and then up at the top right-hand side, once you're logged in, so create an account, it's free to do so, you'll see a button that says Desktop Apps. And when you go there, just scroll down to the one that you're looking for. So as I mentioned, we've got the this standard like single file batch processor. That's Auphonic Leveler. And then we've got Auphonic Multitrack. Now, tonight we're going to look at the Auphonic Leveler, but they're both going to function fairly similarly, but the Multitrack does require that you have multiple files. So this tells you all about it. Go there, check it out, and then download latest version. So once you've purchased it, you can click on that, and then you've got two options, Mac and Windows. So I'm actually going to download the Windows version for my Linux machine.
Now, quick question about the multitrack. You said it requires more than one track.
Yes. More than one file.
More than one file?
Be tracked.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what happens if you happen to have a single file one day?
Then you want a Auphonic Leveler.
Okay, but when you buy one license, you're good for both?
No. They are two different products that serve two different purposes. Now, that said, you could technically put your track into the if you want the multi-track version, you could hack around it by creating a single file that is muted.
Right.
That's just quiet, right? And put it as the second track, and so be it, right? That's fine. Or you could do left and right. You could separate the stereo tracks and turn them into two tracks if you wanted to. So now I've already downloaded those. So if I look in downloads, there they are. I've got both of them there. So I can't run Windows programs on Linux. You know that. So what am I going to do? If I click on it, what does it do? Oh, it opens it in Archive Manager and then gives me an error. So that's the kind of thing that you're up against on Linux. And Sasha, you and I had a little talk about this using Wine and even VirtualBox or something like that to virtualize. Wine allows you to install and run Windows applications on Linux. So that's what we're going to use. It's basically, it's a layer between Linux and the Windows application that gives you the capabilities of running Windows programs. So sudo su on Ubuntu is going to let me become root, and I simply need to install. So I go apt, technically I should do apt update ampersand, which says if this is successful, then apt install wine, and there are two different versions that I can go with. So if I do apt search wine dash, let's see what it gives me. We've got Wine Development and Wine Stable. So right now, in November of 2017, Stable is 2.0.2 and Development is 2.18. So I actually want the Development version because it has features that are not available in the Stable version because they haven't made their way there yet. So I'm going to get the latest and greatest. It's not considered stable. It has some things that have not passed like full testing at this point, but it works very, very well. And we want those extra features. So I'm going to go apt update, ampersand, apt install wine-development. And if you're having trouble running some of your Windows programs, it may be because you're running the stable version of Wine, because it's not as far along. And it's always growing. It's always getting better. Do you want to install all this stuff? Yeah.
That's why we're here.
This is what I'm doing. That's what I said. I could have used -- yes, and that would have done it for me. So this goes through. Now, Ubuntu and Linux, Debian, what they do is they go out on the web and they just grab the files and install the things that you asked for. So when I say I want wine development, it is grabbing it off the internet, and that's what's happening right here. I don't have to find it on the web. I don't have to compile it. I don't have to... Remember the days when Linux was complicated?
Yes.
I'm standing here enjoying a cup of joe. We're chatting it up and just watching it download and get its stuff.
Look at that.
It's just going away. Going away.
Boom, 100%. Now it's extracting.
There we go. So now it's installing, extracting, setting up everything that we need in order to run Windows programs on Linux.
And I mean, even as we've just been talking, you can see how quickly it accesses the files, downloads them, installs them. Like it's not like it takes a long time.
No.
This is we're talking minutes here. This is great. Yeah.
I might get a couple sips.
We're not going to make you sit through all of that, though.
But this is, again, at the top of the show, I mentioned that we're a live show, so you get to see everything as it happens. So if our internet went down right now, that's the end, folks.
We've been there before.
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened, and that's why I downloaded Auphonic ahead of time, just in case. But Wine, I wanted to show you the process of actually installing that. So with Wine, so this is only applicable if you're using Linux, okay, folks? So if you're on Windows and Mac, don't worry about it. With Wine, now that said, I think you can install Wine on Mac.
Yes, you can.
So maybe you do want to listen up if you're a Mac user. And we need to talk about that exploit that happened this week as well. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It allows you to run a lot of Windows programs on Linux or Mac, presumably. So it's not going to run every program. And as I mentioned, we're going with the development version because it runs more programs. It's got more features that allow more programs to work. So the stable version, maybe you would have trouble with Auphonic. If you do, make sure you install the development version. I've got Wine.
Look at that.
It's done. So now you say, okay, now I can click on it, right? Well, no.
Still have an error.
And so this is where people say, and I'm generalizing, but I looked at forums who were trying to figure out how can I get Auphonic to work on Linux, and people are saying it just doesn't work, and Wine doesn't work when I install it. It doesn't do anything, and you know it doesn't. What am I supposed to do now? I installed, so let's do phase 2. Want to learn a little bit of Linux?
Absolutely.
All right. So right now, yeah, we can't just double click on it. It's not. We're not there yet. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go into my downloads folder. It's case sensitive on Linux and Mac. So those are my 2 executable files. I can't run them. They're EXEs. They're Windows files. But I have Wine. First of all, I notice that I am currently root. Okay. You must become non-root in order to do this because
non-root.
Well, I've installed it as root.
Right.
But I need to be my user because who's going to use it? Root?
Right.
No.
Fair enough.
I'm going to use it. So I need to create my Wine profile as Robbie. So I'm just going to type exit, which takes me back to the Robbie user. Who am I? Robbie.
In case there was any question.
Yeah. Who am I? If it says Stanley, I'm like, what? So now that I am me and I'm back out of my downloads folder, let's get back in there. There we go. I'm going to just simply type Wine, Auphonic leveler GUI1 win.exe. Hit enter. first thing it does is it sets up Wine. See that? The Wine configuration is being updated. So it's not installing yet. It's in fact configurating Wine.
Configurating?
Yes. Again,
it's another
a word
Cat 5
I just
word.
made up. So I can do that because I own the show. So come on now.
I swear we need to have a Cat 5 dictionary.
I think it's coming. It's in the works. It'll be on Amazon by the end of the year. Yeah. What do you notice?
Look at that.
Looks a little Windowsy.
It does.
I agree. Georg, if anybody asks, I read that. Where are you going to install it? Now, I don't have a C drive. What are you talking about? Well, what Wine did when I ran it just there and it configured itself.
Configured.
Watch this. Control L. I'm only showing you this just so that you see. There's Wine, and in the Wine folder.
No way, it made a drive C.
It made a drive C that contains all your Windows stuff.
That's awesome.
So it's not a real drive. It's just a folder within your home folders tree.
Right.
So that's where it's going to actually put it. So C is actually saving in my home folder in a subfolder of that. So I'm just going to hit install and just see what happens.
Look at that go.
Oh, yeah.
Nice and quick.
Just like you would expect, right? Completed? What? Okay, so there's one more thing that I need to do. We're going to be working with WAV files. WAV uses a tool called Lame. And unlike the name, it is absolutely awesome. So we need to install that. Again, Linux, I need to become root again. And apt, I don't need to update again because they probably haven't released new versions in the past 5 minutes. Install Lame. Well, that was easy.
Boom.
All right. So now I can click on to my applications. And what do I see?
Look at that. Auphonic.
Yeah. So, moment of truth here, folks. Will Auphonic Leveler run on Linux? Click it.
Oh, it worked.
Okay.
You have to activate it.
I need to activate it because it is, as I said, it's a commercial application.
Right.
So I'm going to grab my password here, so we'll just conveniently change screens.
Perfect.
Yeah. Grab that password.
That's exciting.
You like it?
Yeah, it makes it, you know, we don't
I haven't
cover
even shown you what it does yet.
we don't cover Wine enough to show just how to get access to some of these programs for those who are purely Linux users. So it's great to even show that little component so they go, oh, I'm going to install that software.
Mind blown. I'm installing a Windows program and using a Windows program on a free operating system. Did I mention Linux is free? Okay, so I've got my license there ready to go. I'm going to hit login. Bam.
Up and running.
How simple can the interface be, right? So that's all there is to it. Okay, so we need an audio file to work with here, folks. So I'm going to bring up Audacity, and we're going to pretend that we're going to be podcasting here.
Pretend podcasting.
Yeah, we're just going to pretend. All right.
What's our pretend podcast going to be about?
Oh, boy, it could be about anything.
Anything.
Let's make it about wine.
Wine.
No, the one that lets you run Windows on Linux.
All right.
Yeah.
I suppose consider we're using it, I should be excited. But
Audacity.
Right it?
It's funny that the Linux native program is the one that's giving me grief. There it is.
There we
it
go.
just came up. Yeah. Okay, so let's start monitoring here. Okay, I need to turn on my microphone.
I think it's muted.
No. Well, it is, yeah.
No, but
There we go. Okay, we've got level. I think it's muted. Yeah, there's no levels, Jeff. Sorry, Auphonic can't help you with that. All right, let's do this podcast. Hey, how's everybody doing?
oh, you pulled out Ronnie Radio.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ronnie, from the radio days.
Oh, the radio, Robbie. Yeah, because when I was on the air, it was way back in the day.
Yes.
Back in the old school radio days.
Back when you had hair.
I think my audition tape was like, good afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's just going into Audacity. We're recording it directly. And so Jeff just made waves, if you will. Sasha, can I hear you say something?
Can you hear me with it? I wonder.
I don't know, but
Can it hear?
Here's the thing. When you did a feature where you were walking around with this bad boy, the H4n.
That's right.
We needed Auphonic to fix the levels because you were talking like this, and then you'd hold it out, and you were 3 feet away from the person you were talking to.
Which is why I went close. So you've got the different levels.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So let's just, you know, move this thing around as if we're, okay, so hey, here's Robbie and Jeff.
Hello.
And over here at Sasha, I can't really reach over because we're on different cameras.
Hey. Test 1, 2.
That's all I get.
Yeah.
Hey.
She just freezes. Put a mic in front of her.
Wait, what's happening?
Okay. Oh, yeah, exactly. So the point with Auphonic is it's going to make the levels sound a lot better. So let's get a look at what's going to happen here. So I'm just going to stop our recording.
All right.
And we're going to go File, Export Audio. I'm just going to slap that on my desktop, and I'll just call this test.wave.
That was a solid podcast. I tune in every week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Great content.
That was educational, inspiring, uplifting. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we deserve a broadcasting award.
That's right.
We just got a Webby for that. Okay, here we are in Auphonic. Now, at this point, it's the same for Windows, Linux, Mac. So don't you worry. This is the same interface for you. So if you're on Windows, you didn't need to do all the wine stuff. Now we've got a file here. You saw it go in. I'm going to open it. It's on my desktop, which is in Home, Robbie, Desktop, Test.wave. It's grabbed it. So if I've got some low noise, hum, and stuff like that, I simply can turn on noise and hum reduction.
Look at that.
Easy peasy. It has the adaptive leveler and the high pass filter, and I've set it to, and I said decibels, minus 16 decibels, no loofs. And then we've got all these, you know, it shows you the standard. Minus 16 is pretty standard for podcasts. Okay, so there we go. Files ready to go. I'm going to hit process all files, and that is all I have to do.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, see, I'm picturing when you're talking about the software that you're going to see like the wave levels and all that. It's okay.
Auphonic is going to fix the audio for us.
Ah, see,
but now,
all right.
Now let's look at the wavetable now. So bring that up into Audacity. Oh, I closed Audacity. The Audacity. That's why they called it that.
I feel like we need the Jeopardy music here. Just
something.
For it to load.
Exactly. So, but that worked, and I mean, it went through, and
that was quick,
and it's done. Well, I mean, the podcast was only 4 hours long, right? One of the things that you'll notice, it gives you a little bit of a report here. I'm just going to see if we can see that behind here. It also detects things like if you've got music playing, and it will find the points that are music, and it will adjust accordingly.
Wow.
Look at that. Okay. Notice, we don't clip. Everything looks clean, and levels are positively beautiful.
And I believe this is the section where I went real close to the mic and was like,
you want to see?
Yeah, I think that was it.
You think it is? Ready?
I believe so.
Okay.
Hold on. Are we listening? Listening?
I don't know that we can hear.
Hi.
Directly, and so...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it.
So what we're going to do, let's bring up the other file as well, so the original, so that you can see the difference as far as wavetable goes. So this is a visual representation of the audio.
Wow!
That's our original recording. And how do I task over on Auphonic? Let's just do this. That's now.
That is
okay,
awesome.
so yeah, that's where... Yeah, and even where Sasha was speaking at near the end of the file there...
Yeah.
Like, you could really see the difference.
It was super eloquent.
What I'm going to do here, we can't play this to ourselves right now, but what I'll do is I'm going to play this for you. So a moment of silence. This is a clip from the original recording. All right, let's do this podcast. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Oh, you pulled out Ronnie Radio.
Can you hear me with that?
Point with Auphonic is it's going to make the levels sound a lot better. So let's get a look at what's going to happen here. So I'm just going to stop our recording. Now here is the exact same clip run through Auphonic. All right, let's do this podcast. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Oh, you pulled out Ronnie Radio.
Can you hear me with it? I wonder.
Point with Auphonic is it's going to make the levels sound a lot better. So let's get a look at what's going to happen here. So I'm just going to stop our recording. And I love how Jeff was like feigning like, ooh, because we couldn't hear.
It's silent in here, but I'm like, oh.
What a significant difference. So if you're podcasting, if you're doing YouTube videos, whatever you're doing, you need Auphonic. Get it at auphonic.com. I'm not kidding. It took me a while to do it, to take... to get Auphonic and say, you know what, I'm going to make this a part of my...
That's so simple.
I used to use Levelator. I used to use all kinds of filters and try to fix things up myself. This does a better job than any of the other tools that I've ever used. It's just a couple of clicks to just make your audio sound absolutely stupendous. So there you have it, folks. Auphonic.com.